Fuutarou is a broke bum who has to help pay his family's debt. However, one day his life changes after being offered to tutor the 5 most popular baddies at his school, but instead of teaching them, he accidentally rizzes them up instead. In the beginning, Fuutarou is getting lunch in the cafeteria, and like usual, he picks the cheapest meal set he can find, knowing that he's a broke bum just like you. As he's walking to his seat, people gossip about him being a lonely loser who has no friends, but when he gets to his seat, to Futarou's and everyone's surprise, a busty redhead, Itsuki, is there and she's fighting for the seat. During their argument, they both fold and just share a table. But when they're sitting together, other people talk about how Fuutarou is able to sit with a baddie, and while it annoys Fuutarou, Itsuki is flustered by the comments. He looks at her meal and counts that, unlike his, her meal could buy him a new kidney. He realizes that she's loaded but chooses to ignore it to review his previous exam. When Itsuki sees it, she tells Fuutarou that it's rude to study while eating, but when she spots his exam paper, she realizes that Futarou's grades must be abysmal. However, when she actually checks on his exam score, to her surprise, she sees that he got a perfect score, and Fuutarou starts acting like he's embarrassed, even though he's really proud of it. After this discovery, Itsuki admits that, unlike him, she's dumber than a brick and asks him to help her study, but Fuutarou coldly leaves the table disinterested. She tries offering him her food, but Fuutarou roasts her, saying how she ordered too much and how it will make her fatter than the viewers, which angers her completely. Later, Fuutarou gets a call from his sister, Raiha, who tells him that they can clear their family's debts by Fuutarou working a part-time job tutoring a rich guy's daughter, and that Fuutarou won't have to feel hungry anymore. However, to his demise, Raiha informs Fuutarou that the daughter he will be tutoring is a new student named Itsuki, the girl he called a fat pig. He realizes he messed up by pissing her off, so he makes it his mission at lunch to make amends with her. But when he wants to sit on her table, Itsuki is already with 4 other girls and she tells Fuutarou to sit somewhere else like a loser. However, one of Itsuki's friends, Ichika, confronts Fuutarou, asking him why he's targeting Itsuki's sweet cheeks. And when Fuutarou denies her accusations, she tries to call up Itsuki for him. But he stops her actions, saying how he doesn't need her help. It rizzes up Ichika, and she tells him how manly he is and how he can always ask for her help if he needs guidance to get to Itsuki's sweet buns. Then, when Fuutarou is about to eat, another one of Itsuki's friends, Yotsuba, pops up, staring straight into his soul, which surprises Fuutarou. She pulls out 2 exam papers, one scored 0, the other scored 100, and she asks Fuutarou which one is his. He asks how she got them, and Yotsuba reveals that Fuutarou accidentally dropped his exam earlier. When he picks the one that scored 100, she hands them both to him, which confuses him. So he asks what kind of dumb donut scored a 0, and Yotsuba enthusiastically tells him that it's her test. She continues to follow him around for the whole day, all the way into the changing room, and when confronted, she tells him that he hasn't thanked her for returning his exam. However, he returns her exam paper instead, saying how they are now even, but being an idiot, Yotsuba thanks him for it. Later, Fuutarou follows Itsuki so he can talk to her, but he hides in plain sight, not wanting to get caught by her friends. However, one of Itsuki's friends, Miku, confronts him asking what he's doing, and when Fuutarou jokes around, saying how he's portraying P. Diddy, Miku threatens to call the FBI, but he begs her not to and asks her not to tell Itsuki. To his surprise, Miku walks away saying how Itsuki is not her friend. Then, when Fuutarou gets to Itsuki's place, another one of Itsuki's friends, Nino, confronts Fuutarou for being a stalker, telling him to go home or that she will cut off his 8-incher, but Fuutarou uses his brain power and tells her that he lives there. She starts apologizing, but Miku points out how Fuutarou always ordered the cheapest food, implying that he's a broke bum. Realizing that his cover is blown, he runs inside and sees Itsuki inside an elevator, but before he gets to her, the door closes. It forces him to run up the stairs to catch up to her, and when he meets her, Itsuki tells him to leave her alone, saying how she's having a tutor come over. To her shock, Fuutarou reveals that he is her tutor, and she rejects him as her tutor, but Fuutarou refuses to back off. He corners her, saying how he's wrong for what he did to her and declares himself as Itsuki's tutor. Itsuki can't believe that Fuutarou is their tutor, but when Fuutarou hears her say that, he gets confused. Just then, all 4 of Itsuki's friends pop up from the elevator, and to his shock, Itsuki informs him that the 5 of them are siblings, and that he will be tutoring all of them. Then, when he enters their place, nobody is there aside from Yotsuba, who is the only one enthusiastic to study under Fuutarou. She tells him that they have to pick them up one by one, starting with Itsuki, but while Yotsuba believes that Itsuki is studious, she refuses to study under Fuutarou after what he did the other day. Yotsuba assures Fuutarou that while Itsuki refuses to study, Miku would be willing, and when they get to her room, she rejects them as well. After 2 rejections, they head to Nino's room, but while Yotsuba feels optimistic, Nino doesn't answer her door, leaving Fuutarou depressed. Lastly, they head to Ichika's room, but before entering, Yotsuba warns him of what's to come. When they step inside, they are greeted by a messy room with no Ichika inside, but when they turn on the light, she shows herself still underneath her blanket. Fuutarou tries pulling her, but she stops him, revealing that she's wearing nothing underneath. Flustered, he steps out of the room and meets Miku waiting for him. She tells him how she's missing her red sweatshirt and accuses him of stealing it for him to decorate it, but when she looks downstairs, she finds Nino wearing her red sweatshirt, making cookies. Then, aside from Itsuki, they all gather to study, but while Fuutarou tries his best to tutor them, they all mess around by themselves, not listening to him at all, making him realize that they are dumb and hopeless. Just then, Nino offers him to eat cookies, saying that she will study if he eats some, and when he does, she tells him straight to his face that they don't need a tutor. She hands him a glass of water, and when he drinks it, Nino bids her farewell, and the next thing he knows is that he wakes up in a taxi in front of his house. The driver tells him to pay the fare, which he doesn't have, but in the front seat, Itsuki pays the driver using her card. Then she tells him that after what happened, Fuutarou should give up tutoring the 5 sisters, but he tells her that he can't give up. Just then, Reiha pops up, welcoming Fuutarou back home, and when she spots Itsuki, she realizes that she's Futarou's student and invites her for dinner. While Itsuki wants to refuse, Reiha uses her puppy eyes, which force Itsuki to accept. Then they welcome Itsuki with open arms, serving her food like she's one of their own, and when Reiha asks Fuutarou about the tutoring job, he forces Itsuki to lie and tells Reiha that it's going well. Reiha expresses how grateful that they can finally deal with their debts, and when she hears this, Itsuki feels a certain way. Afterward, Reiha tells Itsuki that while her brother is a massive D-bag, he has great qualities, and Reiha asks Itsuki to one day come for dinner again, which she tells him that she'll gladly do. Before going home, Itsuki tells Fuutarou that despite her bad grades, she wants to study by herself without his tutoring, but she also tells him that he's free to tutor them if he wants to. It gives Fuutarou an idea, and he realizes that all he needs to do is to make sure they all graduate, but unbeknownst to him, every single one of the sisters has horrible grades. The next day, to the girls' surprise, Fuutarou shows up again to tutor them even after his horrible first day. And while they tell him that they don't need him, Fuutarou challenges him to do a mock exam, saying how if they can get a passing grade of 50, he will never talk to them ever again. While Nino objects, she changes her mind when Itsuki steps up to take on Futarou's challenge, and the 5 sisters follow her lead, believing they're geniuses like Einstein. However, when they finish, Fuutarou tells them that they got 100 points combined between the 5 of them, which showcases how smooth their brains are, but instead of facing the truth, the girls run away to their rooms and not wanting to study under Fuutarou. The next day, Fuutarou almost arrives at school late after having to spend all night balancing his own studies and tutoring. Just then, the girls arrive in an expensive car, and when they spot Fuutarou there, they run away from him, refusing to be tutored, but Fuutarou chases them down, refusing to give up. They tell them that they can solve their problems themselves, so Fuutarou asks them if they have reviewed the mock exam he gave them, and when they reveal they haven't, he realizes he's dealing with absolute buffoons. Then he asks them a question about warlords that was on his test, and while Itsuki wants to answer, her monkey brain couldn't do it. Fuutarou realizes that not only do they hate studying, but they also hate him. However, when he checks his notes filled with what the girls answered on his test, he sees that Miku actually got the answer about warlords correctly, which makes him wonder why Miku didn't answer him earlier. During lunch, he tries to ease in with Miku and talks about her lunch and asks her what her green drink is. She explains that it's a matcha soda. When Fuutarou expresses how he would love to taste it, Miku tells him she will never offer it to his dirty and crusty lips. He then asks her about the warlord question he asked them earlier, but before Miku responds, Yotsuba pops up and disturbs them, showing Fuutarou her horrible exam result. Ichika appears to get Yotsuba to give them privacy and tells Fuutarou that he should spend his wonderful time clapping hot chicks and falling in love, but Fuutarou strongly tells them that love is for the weak and that they should avoid it. Out of curiosity, Yotsuba asks Miku if she has a guy she likes, and when she gets flustered, both Yotsuba and Ichika know that Miku is in love. Later, in class, Fuutarou gets a secret letter from Miku, asking him to meet up privately, and he realizes that he's the guy Miku loves. However, he tries to keep it cool during class, telling himself that he shouldn't be tempted by her sweet cheeks. When it's time for the meeting, he's convinced that he's getting pranked as Miku didn't show up, but at that moment, to his shock, Miku shows up. As Miku is starting her love confession, Fuutarou is panicking as he feels his golden pickle is unprepared, but to his surprise, Miku answers his question. It confuses Fuutarou at first, but he quickly realizes that what Miku answered is his question about the warlord, so as Miku is walking away, he demands her to explain why she answered it at that moment. It causes her to drop her phone, and when Fuutarou sees the wallpaper, he sees a crest of a warlord. Miku feels hostile for a moment with her secret blown, and she confesses to Fuutarou that for the longest time she's been a big fan of old Japanese warlords after she played a game she borrowed from Yotsuba. Still, she was too ashamed to talk about it with others, as while other girls are fans of K-pop idols, she was a fan of old fat dudes who are warlords. Fuutarou sees this as an opportunity, and she assures Miku that she's not a weirdo, that her love for warlords should be embraced. It makes Miku flustered, and when Fuutarou tells her that he got a perfect score in the history exam, it draws her interest, and he tells her that he can teach her things about warlords that she doesn't know. However, she takes that as a challenge to her knowledge, so she starts asking Fuutarou various questions about them, but by sheer luck, Fuutarou manages to answer her questions, making Miku believe that he loves warlords as much as she does. Then Fuutarou tells her that he should go home but baits her to join his tutoring session, saying how he would focus on Japanese history on their next lesson, and because of her love for warlords, Miku accepts his offer, which gives Fuutarou the win. As they walk home, they pass a vending machine, and from it, Miku buys Fuutarou a matcha soda, saying how she remembers that he wants to try it, and that she didn't put her snot inside it. Fuutarou is confused by her last comment, but at that moment, it turns Miku hostile, saying how since he doesn't know the snot story, Fuutarou is all talk and that she has nothing to learn from him. It lights a fire under Fuutarou, so he borrows all the books about warlords so he can study them, refusing to be disrespected. Just like a warlord, Fuutarou challenges Miku to a warlord trivia, and when Miku is uninterested, Fuutarou trash talks her, saying how she's a coward. She starts asking him questions, but at the same time, she runs away from him, forcing Fuutarou to answer her questions while running after her. He runs into Melons, realizing that it's Yotsuba, and asks her where Miku went, which Yotsuba shows him. However, Fuutarou runs into another Yotsuba, and after his earlier interaction, he informs Yotsuba that she has a doppelganger. However, as they watch the doppelganger closely, they realize it's Miku, so Fuutarou continues chasing after her. He tells her that he has been learning about warlords even more, and while Miku refuses to believe his words, every time he answers her question, she starts believing that he's telling the truth. They end up gassed after their run and feeling the heat. Miku takes off her stockings, showcasing her smoother than butter legs. Then, white cooling off, Fuutarou buys her a can of matcha soda and tells her that he didn't put her snot in it. He tells her the matcha snot story, revealing how he has been reading about them after their last encounter. Fuutarou asks her why she needs to hide her love for warlords from her sisters. And while Miku thinks that it makes her look like a loser, he assures her that she's doing great considering she gets the highest score out of her sisters. However, Miku believes that since they're quintuplets, the other four sisters can do what she can, which doesn't make her that special, but that gives Fuutarou an idea. While Miku doesn't believe that she and her sisters are capable of getting good grades, Fuutarou tells her that just like how her sisters are capable of doing things she can also do things her sisters can. He shows her the test answers the sisters did, and when Miku takes a look, she realizes that none of the sisters got the same answers right. It gives Fuutarou hope, knowing that because they are quintuplets, all of them can do what the others can do. For a moment, Miku believes that it's possible, but quickly brushes it off. However, the next day when Fuutarou is tutoring only Yotsuba, Miku pops up at the tutoring session, and she tells Fuutarou that he has to take responsibility for giving her hope. Suddenly, Yotsuba asks Miku if Fuutarou is the guy she likes, and while Miku gets flustered for a moment, she assures her that he's not. The next day, Fuutarou struggles getting into the sister's apartment, not knowing which button to press, but Miku pops up and informs him that whenever he needs to get inside the apartment, he can ask for them to open the door through a telecom. He realizes that he made himself look foolish, and that Miku probably doesn't want to study now, but to his surprise, Miku invites him in to tutor them. Then he invites the other sisters to join them, and while all of them respond to his answers, Nino refuses to open her door. When he gets to Ichika's room, they wake her up from her sleep inside her messy room, and Yotsuba finds her daring underwear. But since they are twins, Ichika assures Yotsuba that she would also look good in it. Yotsuba asks Fuutarou what he thinks, but being the Sigma Chad, he simply doesn't care, which upsets Yotsuba. Apart from Nino, Fuutarou manages to get the girls to study, even though most of them are not interested in his teachings. However, Fuutarou sees his current situation as progress compared to how he started. Just then, Nino pops up and tries to rattle Fuutarou for being a tryhard, which almost gets to his skin, especially after she drugged him. He pulls himself together and invites Nino to join them in their studies, but she coldly rejects him. After hearing that, Fuutarou is forced to be content with teaching the other four, but Nino steps down to confront all of them, and using her manipulative ruse, she manages to get every single sister to do something else aside from studying, leaving Miku there. When Nino tries to get Miku to leave the tutoring session as well, to her surprise, No matter what her attempts are, Miku is determined to stay and study Japanese history under Fuutarou. She asks them when they got so close, and she accuses Miku of liking ugly-looking dudes like Fuutarou, but Miku refuses to stand down and calls Nino a basic hoe for only liking dudes for their outside looks. It starts an argument between them, debating whether looks matter compared to inner beauty, but after hearing this, Nino takes the chance and challenges Miku to a cooking battle, which is Nino's specialty, to prove who has the better inner beauty. Nino states that if she wins, Miku will not study, but while Fuutarou thinks it's a bad idea, Miku accepts her sister's challenge. After they finish cooking, Nino ends up making a top-tier Dutch baby, while Miku creates an abomination of an omu rice. Miku begs Fuutarou not to eat her food, but when he tests both foods due to his poor man unsophisticated palate, he deems both dish to be delicious, which pisses off Nino and pleases Miku. After the food war, Fuutarou realizes that Nino manages to get them not to study during the food war and that he will never get along with her. Miku assures Fuutarou that he's wrong and believes that if he approaches Nino with good faith, she will fold, but when Fuutarou asks her how, Miku tells him that it's his job to find out. Later, Fuutarou exits the apartment to head home when he realizes that he left his flashcards, so he asks Miku to open the door, and she tells him that she's in the shower, so he should just come upstairs and get them. However, when he does go inside their apartment, he is shocked to see Miku, who's drying her hair while wearing only a towel, but to his horror, he realizes that it's Nino. Nino needs her contact lenses to see, and he thinks that Fuutarou is Miku. She asks him to get her contact lenses, and Fuutarou realizes that he's screwed if Nino finds out that he's not Miku. He quickly tries to find the contact lenses, but being impatient, Nino helps him out and pushes her melons on his back, causing him to cream to her squishy sensation. Fuutarou can't take it anymore, but while he's running away, he hears Nino saying how the sisters don't need Fuutarou in their lives and at their homes theirs only. At that moment, Nino accidentally smacks the shelf, causing books to fall on her, but Fuutarou moves fast to save her and ends up on top of her. It causes his cover to be blown, and while he tries to explain himself, Itsuki shows up and takes a picture of the incident, deeming Fuutarou the next ditty. Afterward, Fuutarou stands trial in front of the sisters, with Miku defending him for the incident. With the photo as evidence, Itsuki and Nino want Fuutarou to get punished and have. Then, when Fuutarou is heading home, he finds Nino stuck outside the apartment building after she forgot her keys, and out of frustration, she tells Fuutarou to F off. However, Fuutarou turns back to sit next to her, and he tells her what she said before about how she believes that their home is only theirs. It takes Nino by surprise that he said that and tries to convince herself that she hates her sisters, but Fuutarou tells her that she doesn't hate her sisters, and that it's the opposite, where she loves them so much that she doesn't want an outsider like Fuutarou in their lives. After hearing that, Nino decides that she's not at fault, and she declares that she will never accept Fuutarou, even if it means her sisters hating her, which makes it difficult for Fuutarou to be their tutor. Just then, Miku pops up to pick Nino up, and when she spots Fuutarou, she tries to talk to him, but Nino drags her away, not letting her say a thing to Fuutarou. The next day, Fuutarou happily spends his day with his favorite activity, studying, but while he's relieved that he doesn't have to tutor on the weekend, he can't help but think about the sisters. Just then, someone knocks on his door, and to his surprise, Itsuki is there, so he quickly closes the door on her face, which pisses her off. After coming in, Itsuki hands Fuutarou his pay, saying that her father left it for her to give to him, and both he and Raiha can't believe just how much money they earned. He tries declining it, saying how he hasn't really done anything, but Itsuki slips up, saying how his presence has changed the 5 sisters for the better. After hearing that, Fuutarou accepts the payment, which he plans to use to pay off the loan sharks, but he asks Raiha what she wants, so he can treat her. She tells him that she wants to try out the arcade, but begs Itsuki to come with them, and because of how cute Raiha is, Itsuki can't decline the offer. While Fuutarou doesn't like that Itsuki is with them for Raiha's sake, he plays nice and enjoys the arcade with both of them. It makes Itsuki happy to see Raiha happy, and Fuutarou tells her that because of their family issues, Raiha has a hard life, but Fuutarou intends to grant her wishes and make her happy. Just then, Raiha asks the 3 of them to take a picture, and when Fuutarou tries to run away, Itsuki reminds him about his desire to grant Raiha's wishes. They take the photo, looking like a family picture, and while Raiha is happy, the other 2 look like they're constipated. Afterward, Fuutarou feels sad that he spent the whole day not studying, but it reminds him of homework, so he tells Itsuki to do her homework. She tries running away, but while Fuutarou chases her, Raiha spots the other 4 sisters. It surprises them to see Itsuki on a date with Fuutarou, but when Yotsuba spots Raiha, she immediately recognizes her as Futarou's sister and invites her to watch fireworks with them. Raiha uses her puppy eyes to beg Fuutarou, and he agrees to let her watch fireworks after the sisters finish their homework, which is something they all hate. Afterward, they all go to the fireworks festival, And while the girls are excited, Fuutarou is confused about why they are so excited about such a peasant event. Just then, Itsuki shows up in her yukata, and when Fuutarou keeps staring at her, she tells him to get his disgusting eyes off her body. Ichika and Miku join in the conversation, and Ichika scolds Fuutarou, telling him that he has to compliment girls when they look good. Ichika teases him, offering to show him what's underneath her yukata, but when her sisters scold her, she tells them that she's only joking. Suddenly, her phone rings, and when she answers, she gets a call from her work telling her to work that night. Reiho shows up with Yotsuba holding a lot of fish that Yotsuba caught for her, and when Fuutarou scolds her, Yotsuba tells him that she can't help but want to get Reiha gifts. Reiha also reveals that Yotsuba bought her fireworks, and because of the gifts she received, Fuutarou reminds Reiha to thank Yotsuba properly. She hugs Yotsuba, thanking her and telling her she loves her, but that makes Yotsuba want Reiha as her sister. She gets an idea that if she marries Fuutarou, she can be Reiha's real sister, but Nino tells her that she's on crack. Nino warns Fuutarou not to make any moves on Yotsuba, and taken aback, he accidentally bumps into Miku's melons, but she tells him she's okay. Then they continue strolling around the festival, looking at foods and playing many games. It confuses Fuutarou why the sisters love the fireworks festival so much, and Miku reveals the truth to him about how, when their mother was still alive, she always took the sisters to watch fireworks, and that after she died, the sisters continued to watch the fireworks together. Just then, the fireworks show is about to start, and because of the crowd, Nino slowly gets herself lost in the crowd, away from Fuutarou and Miku. But just as she's about to lose them, Fuutarou catches her hand, telling her to hold on. Nino plays hard to get and tells him that he's still not invited to the sisters' special place to watch the fireworks, but he doesn't mind as all he cares about is for the sisters to watch the fireworks together. After hearing that, Nino grabs onto him, and they go to the roof of a building Nino rented, thinking the others are there, but to their surprise, nobody else is there, and Nino stupidly just remembers how she's the only one who knows about the place's location. With less than an hour before the show is over, they start blaming each other, not wanting to be in each other's company. She gets a call from Yotsuba, telling her where she is, and she tells Fuutarou that Reiha is safe with her. Just then, Fuutarou spots Ichika all alone among the crowd, and remembering what Miku told him, he decides to fetch all of the sisters and bring them all there so they can watch fireworks together. When Fuutarou gets to Ichika, he tries to reach for her, but to his surprise, some random dude stops him, asking him about his relationship with her. He thinks hard about that question, and when he wants to answer it, they are already gone, which makes Fuutarou worried about what kind of things Ichika is doing behind the scenes. Just then, Miku pops up, and Fuutarou is relieved that he found her, but when he tries to get her back to Nino, she tells him that someone stepped on her, making her unable to walk properly. Fuutarou puts her on his back, asking her if she can see Ichika, which she can't, and she puts her back down, which confuses her, and he tells her that her cheeks make her too heavy. Then he puts her feet in bandages, and when she pouts, he doesn't realize that he called her fat earlier. He reveals that he saw Ichika with a dude with a creepy mustache, and it reminds Miku of the time she also saw Ichika with that creepy dude. It surprises Miku to see Fuutarou care so much about them, and he tells her that after he saw them desperately finish their homework, he knows just how much this fireworks show means to them. He reaches his hand to her, and Miku happily accepts it, but at that moment, a couple of people who are surveying the crowd ask them what their relationship is. They assume that they are a couple by how they are holding hands, but while Miku tells them that they are friends, to her disappointment, Fuutarou believes that they are just acquaintances. While Miku pouts at his statement initially, she smiles afterward, and at that moment, they clock Itsuki. Fuutarou quickly gets to Itsuki enough to lose her, and she can't help but get disappointed to see him. They head back to Miku, and on their way there, Fuutarou asks her what their relationship is, which creeps her out, and she tells him that they are strangers at best, which disappoints Fuutarou. However, she tells him that he already knows the answer to that question, and Fuutarou realizes that Itsuki sees him as her friend. Suddenly, Ichika pops up from behind and pulls Fuutarou away from Itsuki, which confuses Itsuki about where he went. Ichika drags him to an alley, telling him to shut his mouth about seeing the mustache guy, and reveals that she can't watch the fireworks with her sisters. When Fuutarou tries to stop her, Ichika asks him why he, their tutor, cares so much about them watching fireworks together. Just then, Ichika's co-worker, the mustache dude, pops up, and to avoid him from seeing her, Ichika hugs Fuutarou in the alley, which doesn't raise his suspicion, but he decides to sit down near them. The hug makes them self-conscious about their relationship, and while Ichika believes that they are friends, Fuutarou tells her that he's nothing more than a tutor, and that being a friend is too much. Hearing those words hurt Ichika, and when she expresses it, Fuutarou realizes that Miku felt hurt as well when he didn't consider her as a friend. Seeing her so caught up with work, Fuutarou warns Ichika that she might not be studying enough to go to college, but when Ichika asks him why he studies a lot, it reminds Fuutarou of the reason why he studies, which is a girl from his past. Meanwhile, Miku is still waiting for Fuutarou, worrying about him and wanting Fuutarou to compliment her. When he gets back, Miku changes her hairstyle. Suddenly, the mustache guy catches Ichika, but instead of the real one, he catches Miku, who he thinks is Ichika because of her new hairstyle. When they chase after Miku, Fuutarou thinks hard about what his relationship is with the sisters, and when he finally knows what it is, he takes Miku's hand into his and tells the mustache guy that he is their partner who wants them back. It confuses the mustache guy why Fuutarou is obsessed with Ichika, saying how Ichika is his actress who needs to go to an important audition. But at that moment, the mustache guy is shocked to see two Ichikas, while Fuutarou is shocked to hear that Ichika is an actress. Not wanting to be late for the audition, the mustache guy pulls Ichika with him. And when Fuutarou tries to stop her, Ichika apologizes to him, telling him to tell the others that she will miss the fireworks. Miku orders Fuutarou to chase after him, and while Fuutarou is worried about her feet, she assures him that she's fine, especially with how happy she is to get called his partner. Just then, Yotsuba and Raiha show up to look after Miku and give Fuutarou the opening to chase after Ichika. She asks him once more why he cares so much about the sisters, and he tells her that they are partners in cooperation. After hearing that, Ichika shows him a script she's assigned and asks him to play the teacher for her. When they start acting, Fuutarou sees Ichika's true potential as an actress, as she's acting as his student who thanks him for giving her all the A's for one good session of D. It moves Fuutarou to tears to be called a good teacher who gives out D's, realizing just how good Ichika is as an actress. And when it's time for her to go, Fuutarou holds her face, telling her to stop using her fake smile. He recalls how she kept doing it to hide her true feelings, and as her partner, he admits that the reason why he cares so much about them is because he wants to earn his pay from their father so he can rightfully pay off his debts. After hearing that, Ichika returns the favor and admits that the reason why she hid about her audition is because, as the oldest sister, she wanted to stand tall and to be successful when she finally faces her sisters. It surprises Ichika how Fuutarou is able to spot her fake smile, and Fuutarou tells her that he can spot how fake her smile is compared to her sisters. Then Ichika arrives at the audition late, and because of what Fuutarou said about her smile, she acts in front of them, putting up a smile driven by her love for her sisters, and completely knocks out the audition with how good she is. After she finishes, she meets Fuutarou, who is sleeping with his eyes open. And while he takes her somewhere, the mustache guy tries raising up Fuutarou as a homie lover, but ends up disappointed when he's gone. Fuutarou takes Ichika to a nearby park, and while she's worried that her sisters will be mad at her for missing the fireworks, to her surprise, her sisters are there playing with their own personal fireworks that Yotsuba bought from before. He thanks Yotsuba for the fireworks and for taking care of Raiha, and while acting hostile, Nino thanks Fuutarou for what he did, telling him he did a good job. Ichika apologizes to all of them for what happened, deeming everything her fault, but while the sisters scold her, every single one of them admits their own mistakes, which causes them to fail to see the fireworks. They make up their differences and enjoy their very own personal fireworks show, covering for their failed fireworks show and replacing it with their own private moment. When it's time for the girls to pick one more fireworks, Miku picks the most plain-looking one, and she refuses to pick any other one as the plain one reminds her of Fuutarou, and she admits to liking it. Meanwhile, Ichika thanks Fuutarou for what he did that day and promises that she will repay him by joining his tutoring session, but when she realizes that he's asleep, she lets him rest on her smoother than butter thighs. Days later, Ichika waits for Fuutarou, and to his surprise, she walks with him to school. She tells him how she told her sisters about her job as an actress, and when they show how proud they are, she feels relieved. Then the school announces that midterms are approaching, where the passing grade is 30 points, and Fuutarou wastes no time trying to get the girls to study with him, starting with Itsuki. While he manages to compliment her, he stupidly roasts her, calling her stupid, which causes her not to want to study under him. Then he tries to get Nino to study with him. But while he's talking about studying, he's sounding like a thirsty dog in a mating season who's begging Nino to be his baby mama, which ends with him getting slapped in the face. Then, while studying with the other three, Fuutarou warns them that they need to study hard, telling them that they need to succeed. But to his surprise, he spots Miku studying English instead of Japanese history, which is her weakest subject, and when asked why, she tells them how she feels like trying, which motivates the rest of them. After the study session, Fuutarou still feels that they're not studying enough, but Ichika blows wind on his cheek to wake him up and tells him that they also need to take breaks to be fully effective. They suggest that they get treats for their hard work and go get parfaits for themselves. However, Fuutarou chooses to go home and Itsuki stops him, telling him that he shouldn't leave her sisters by themselves. She then hands Fuutarou her phone, and when he answers to his shock, it's the Quintuplets' father. When the old man coldly asks for his progress, Fuutarou pretends that he's in the middle of a tutoring session, wanting to impress the old man. While he is impressed by what Fuutarou has done so far, he bluntly tells Fuutarou that if one of his daughters fails the midterms, he will be fired. He tries begging the father to reconsider, but when he hangs up, Fuutarou is about to eat the phone to oblivion if it wasn't for Itsuki, who stops him. It makes him even more desperate. And while he knows that Itsuki is trying her best to study alone, he forcefully tries to get her to study with him. It causes an argument between them, so Itsuki walks away, and when he orders her to be more like her other sisters, Itsuki reminds him how he rejected tutoring her when they first met and only cared now because he's getting paid. Out of frustration, he tells her to shut her hole and listen to him, but when he realizes that he made a mistake, it's too late. She tells him that she lost respect for him and will never study under him. But instead of apologizing, Fuutarou tells her that he would rather get run over by Truck Kun before teaching her. Later, still thinking about what just happened, Fuutarou blindly plays Monopoly with the girls, and when he realizes what he's doing, he orders them to go back to studying. Miku notices how he has become more desperate and asks him what happened, but before he gets a chance to reveal the truth about what their father told him, Nino pops up during the game. He realizes that if Nino knows the truth, she will do her best not to study, so he will get fired, but at that moment, Itsuki shows up, and while Nino asks her to join the game, she opts to study alone. After seeing that, Nino pushes Fuutarou to the door, telling him to go home, but Ichika saves him by creating a lie, saying that Fuutarou will be staying the night to help them study. Then he takes a bath in the biggest bath he has ever experienced, and outside, Itsuki comes to visit him, asking him what their father told him. He begs her to let him teach her, and reveals the truth about him getting fired, but to his surprise, Nino walks in revealing that she was pretending to be Itsuki, and now wants nothing more than for him to get fired. Meanwhile, the girls are gossiping about why Fuutarou is taking his time in the bathroom, saying how he's probably creaming to the girls' leftover bathwater. Ichika pushes Miku to make her move on him while he's here, and Miku refuses to admit her feelings. When Fuutarou returns, he tries getting Nino to join them, but after what happened in the bathroom, he realizes that she will never study under him to ensure he's fired. Suddenly, Ichika pretends to ask a question, and when Fuutarou goes to help her, Ichika pushes Miku onto his body, saying that she needs his vitamin D. Wanting to impress Nino, he tells the girls that they can ask him anything, and seeing an opening, Miku asks him what kind of girl he likes. It draws everyone's interest, and Fuutarou agrees to tell them after they finish a page of their assignment. Wanting to know the answer, they all do their assignments, and when they finish, Fuutarou reveals the kind of girls he likes. He starts by revealing that first he likes girls who are always happy, then second, he likes girls who can cook, and taking the top spot, which draws every girl's attention, is that she has to love her brother, which disappoints Nino to see that he loves his sister the Alabama way. It pains Miku that she's the complete opposite of his type, and Fuutarou informs them that he has no interest in dating at all. However, Ichika helps Miku up by telling Fuutarou to praise Miku for her hard work, and when he has his hand on her head, they both fold. While Fuutarou claims that his heart is not beating, Ichika orders Yotsuba to check him, so she starts chasing Fuutarou around to feel her heart, and when she does listen to it, to their surprise, his heart is racing. Just then, Atsuki shows up, annoyed by all their noise, and she asks Miku for her headphones so she can study properly. Struggling to apologize, Fuutarou asks Itsuki if he can trust her to get a good grade, and she brushes him off. Ichika notices the tension between the two, so he drags Fuutarou outside to stargaze with her while Miku studies with Yotsuba. She expresses how she thinks that Fuutarou and Itsuki are quite similar, but while they usually fight like friends, Ichika doesn't like that they're fighting seriously. Ichika tells Fuutarou that just like him, Itsuki is also stubborn and is probably hurting alone. However, Ichika intends to help Fuutarou all she can, but asks Fuutarou to try his best. Fuutarou praises Ichika for her maturity as the older sister and puts his hand on her head, but when it confuses her, he tells her that he was following what she told him to do earlier, which causes Ichika to get flustered. Afterward, Miku lets Fuutarou sleep in her room while she sleeps with Ichika. That night, she goes to the toilet and still being sleepy, she forgets that Fuutarou is in her room and she sleeps next to him. The next morning, he panics after being greeted by Miku's sweet golden globes. Meanwhile, the others are outside eating breakfast, wondering where Miku has gone after she disappeared from Ichika's room. It annoys Nino that Fuutarou actually stayed the night, and while she tells Itsuki not to study with him, Ichika encourages Itsuki to be more honest with herself. Itsuki expresses how she fought with Fuutarou over trivial things, and she believes that she can't be like Ichika or Miku. That gives Ichika an idea, and she turns Itsuki's hair similar to Miku's, telling her to pull a prank on Fuutarou. But when Nino sees this, she gets involved and makes Itsuki change her demeanor to be exactly like Miku. Meanwhile, Fuutarou is still stuck with Miku, not knowing who she is, but when she sees the pajamas she's wearing, he recognizes her as Miku. He tries escaping, and when he walks out the door, he's surprised to see another Miku, which confuses her. But when he clocks the pajamas she's wearing, she calls out Itsuki. From deep down, Itsuki tries to ask for his help for the midterms, but still being on edge, Fuutarou tells her to scram and runs back inside to prevent himself from getting caught in bed with Miku, which angers Itsuki. Later, they go look for Miku in the library, not knowing she's in her room, but Fuutarou is still thinking about his fight with Itsuki, and her saying that she doesn't want to study under him. He asks Yotsuba what she would do if one of her sisters gets held back, and to his surprise, she tells him that she would redo the year with her sister. It makes Fuutarou realize what he must do, and Ichika sees this, so she pretends that she needs for Fuutarou to get something back home, so he can talk to Itsuki privately. In front of the apartment, he runs into Miku, who has just woken up, and tells her to join the others in the library. Before leaving, she asks him if he remembers their night, and he lies to her, saying how he slept in the living room not to disturb her sleep. She believes his lie and leaves for the library, but Fuutarou has one more person he has to lie to. In the apartment, Itsuki is asleep after all the studying she did, and Fuutarou wakes her up, but to her surprise, because of her headset, Fuutarou calls her Miku and says that he has found her. While she tries to tell him that she's Itsuki, Fuutarou keeps up with the lies, saying how he will teach her, and because she wants to be honest with herself, Itsuki blushingly follows along with the misunderstanding. The two of them study together with Fuutarou occasionally praising her, which makes her happy, and they both silently forgive each other during the study session. Days later, after all the hard work, all the girls get hundreds on their test results, and Fuutarou celebrates, knowing that he's not getting fired. However, he wakes up and realizes that it's all a dream, but when he looks at the clock, he tells Itsuki that they are late for the test. Then they all rush to get to school, but while Yotsuba heads there by herself, Fuutarou is stuck with the others who are still busy doing random stuff along the way, helping old ladies cross the street and buying breakfasts. When they finally get to school, apart from Yotsuba, they are all late and are unable to get past the teacher who's guarding the entrance. Just then, Fuutarou gets an idea, and because Yotsuba already got in before them, he has a plan. One by one, the sisters pretend to be Yotsuba to get past the teacher, and when he asks them if they're late, he believes them when they say that she needs to get something from outside the school. Then Fuutarou tries to do the same thing, but because he looks nothing like Yotsuba, he gets caught and dragged to the teacher's office. But he tells the sisters that after all the studying they did, they will succeed. After hearing that, they hype themselves up, wanting to make Fuutarou proud. Then the test starts, and after weeks of Futarou's teachings, they get by answering the questions the best they could, but for Itsuki, she knows how her father threatened to fire Fuutarou, so she wanted to succeed even more. Days later, they gather in the library after their tests, and when Fuutarou asks them to reveal their scores, Itsuki feels embarrassed to do so, but Fuutarou asks them to kindly reveal it. Each and every one of them gets a passing grade on 1 out of 5 subjects, with Miku having the highest grade of 68. After hearing that, Fuutarou realizes that he's failed to get them all to pass all the subjects' minimum grades. He starts praising each sister, telling them to continue their studies and that he's proud to be their teacher for a limited time. Miku doesn't understand what's happening, and at that moment, their father calls them through Itsuki's phone. The old man orders him to tell him the news and not lie to him, and before Fuutarou says anything, he asks the father to find the sisters a better tutor, as Fuutarou believes in their potential. It shocks all of them to hear that he's getting fired, but before Fuutarou reveals their grades, Nino takes the phone away from him. She lies to her father, saying that because of Fuutarou, the sisters managed to get passing grade on all the subjects, and because of his daughter's words, he declares that they will continue to study under Fuutarou. After the phone call, Nino tells the others that she didn't technically lie, as each sister did get a passing grade in their own different subjects, and Nino puts her expectations on Fuutarou, telling him to help them get even better. It pleases Miku to know that Fuutarou will be with them for a little longer, and Yotsuba wants them to review their tests as quickly as possible. However, while Fuutarou would love to study at that moment, he decides to give the girls a break, and he expresses how he would love to try parfait. The girls laugh at him, saying how it doesn't fit him to like parfait, but they get them anyway. And on their way there, Yotsuba asks Fuutarou about his scores, which surprises all of them that he got 100 on everything. Back home, Fuutarou is still in disbelief at how the sisters managed to fail every subject but one, and his father scolds him, telling him not to talk about studying at the dinner table. He assures Fuutarou that Itsuki and the others will change the same way he changed in the past from a delinquent to a study freak. The father reveals that Fuutarou has a picture of himself from his wilder days in his notebook, and wanting to see it, he takes it from his pocket and sees it alongside Raya. She can't believe how different her brother is, and the father tells her that Fuutarou became a study freak because of a girl he met in the past, which reminds Fuutarou of her. The next day, Miku tries her best to make croquettes, and while they look like rocks, she asks Yotsuba to try them, but to her surprise, Fuutarou grabs one. While he thinks they taste delicious, Yotsuba says that they taste horrible, but lights a fire under Miku's cheeks, and she declares that she will be cooking more of them until she can get them perfect. After countless bad croquettes, Fuutarou ends up sick and has to lie down on the floor while Miku gets him some medicine. Just then, Itsuki and Nino show up and Nino mocks him, saying how he looks like a true peasant while on the floor. As the two are leaving, Fuutarou orders Yotsuba to stop them and make them want to study with him, and while Yotsuba doesn't know how, he tells her to lie. Then Yotsuba starts yapping nonsense at the sisters, telling them that they need to watch over Fuutarou, who is dying and can't move. They refuse to believe this nonsense and walk away, but when they look back at Fuutarou, he's coughing out blood, which he secretly got from using ketchup. Itsuki goes to watch over him, and to get Nino to join in, Yotsuba suggests that she make Fuutarou some porridge, and to his surprise, Nino agrees to do so. Itsuki asks Yotsuba what she should do to make Fuutarou feel better, and Yotsuba suggests that just like how their mother used to do it, Itsuki should hold Futarou's hand. Itsuki thinks about it hard at first, trying to get herself to hold his hand, but ends up refusing to hold his crusty-looking hand. After seeing that, Yotsuba asks Itsuki to study with them so they can get along even better, and when she sees just how bright Yotsuba is smiling, Itsuki says that she will think about it. Just then, Nino brings the porridge to them, but because of the ketchup bottle, she slips and drops the porridge. In his whole life, Fuutarou has never seen such beautiful grains of rice due to being a broke bum, so he accepts his fate of getting hot porridge on the face. It causes him to start screaming and moving around, but while Nino is apologizing, they realize that he moves just fine, and they leave after realizing he lied to them. It leaves just Fuutarou and Yotsuba, just like how it started, but Yotsuba tells him he's wrong and that his presence changed him, just like how Nino didn't kick him out of the house just then. Fuutarou credits Yotsuba to be the one who started the change, saying how she was always willing to study from the start. Yotsuba approaches his head, and while holding it close to hers, she tells him that the reason she is willing to study with him is that she likes him. It causes Futarou's heart to skip a beat, but to his disappointment, Yotsuba tells him that she's joking, which leaves him frustrated. The next day, Yotsuba rushes to Futarou's tutoring session, but when she gets there, Fuutarou scares her when he's using his horror mask and blonde hair, which gets them scolded for being noisy in the library. He reveals that during class, he was forced to join the school camp's courage test committee without his consent, but because of that, Fuutarou intends to make the test extra scary as revenge against the one who put him up to it. Yotsuba tells him that she's going to complain to his class about what they did, but Fuutarou tells her that she doesn't have to as he doesn't care about the school camp anyway. After hearing that, Yotsuba tries to make Fuutarou care about the camp by telling the story about a school's camp legend where any pairs that dance at the campfire will spend their lives together. Even after hearing that, Fuutarou still doesn't care, calling it stupid, but while Miku agrees with him, deep down she likes those kinds of legends. Just then, Ichika pops up, and because she can't join their study session, she asks him to trade emails so she can prevent this from happening again. While getting the email, Fuutarou notices how Yotsuba is doing multiple things at once after being asked to do them, and he deems her a pushover. But he has an idea in his head that Yotsuba purposefully becomes a pushover so she can avoid studying. When Ichika leaves the room, she messages Fuutarou, ordering him to get the others' emails as well, or she will share his picture sleeping on her lap to all of them. With what Ichika just said, Fuutarou moves quickly and asks for the others' emails, and with ease, Miku hands her over to Fuutarou, wanting him to have hers so she can sneak him a pic of her juicy coochie. Then he asks for Itsuki's and Nino's, and when they both decline, Fuutarou has a plan. For Itsuki, he offers to give her Raia's email as well, which forces her to give Fuutarou her email. For Nino, he threatens that if she doesn't give him her email, he and the others will chat and have fun without her, causing her to fold. She asks him something to write on, and he hands her his handbook. It leaves only Yotsuba, and when he asks her, she shows him her email, but before he reads it, she gets a call from the basketball team captain who asks her to meet up. After a long discussion on whose cheeks will be sacrificed for Futarou's pipe, they decide on a plan, which is for them to change their hairstyles into the same hairstyle so Fuutarou will think twice before doing the dirty out of fear of. She lies to him saying that she has an emergency, but Fuutarou chases her, leaving his handbook with Nino, who has written her email address. Fuutarou finds Yotsuba talking to the basketball team, and they offer her to join the team after seeing Yotsuba go prime Michael Jordan. Knowing that she's a pushover, Fuutarou knows that Yotsuba will accept, but to his surprise, Yotsuba declines their offer, saying that there's someone who believes in her whom she wants to fight for. Back home, after getting all the sisters' emails, he realizes that he's missing Nino's and that his handbook is still with her. The next morning, he appears in her room while she's asleep, causing her to scream at him like he's a creep. Then he asks her to return his handbook, but it makes Nino suspicious that he's hiding something in it, which he does. Just then, Ichika appears and gives Nino an ear piercer, which is something she's been asking for. She takes Fuutarou to her room and asks him to pierce her ears as she wants to start wearing earrings, but having experienced it, Fuutarou tells her how painful it is. However, he wants nothing more than to shoot a hole in her ear after everything she did to him and starts scaring her. But in that moment, he sneakily tries to get his handbook back. Out of anger, she kicks him, causing Fuutarou to drop the handbook and reveal a photo of the old bad boy version of him. When Nino sees the picture, she tells Fuutarou just how much he's her type, but Fuutarou lies, saying how it's his relative in the picture. Then it makes Nino want to show him her old picture with her sisters, but Fuutarou shows zero interest, so she goes downstairs to show the others their old pictures. Fuutarou feels relieved that Nino didn't see the full picture, as on the other side of the picture, Fuutarou is with a girl he once fell in love with, who turns out to be one of the 5 sisters. At school, Yotsuba shows Fuutarou a pamphlet for the upcoming camping trip, showing her excitement for the school camp and saying how she can't wait for the legendary campfire where people end up dating each other. While Fuutarou couldn't care less, Miku shows interest in it. Fuutarou believes that dating is pointless, but Miku, who doesn't understand, asks why people date in the first place. Just then, Ichika pops up and tells her that people want to date because they feel love so much they want to be with them. Fuutarou asks them to have a study session, and while Yotsuba runs away to avoid it, Ichika tells Miku that she has a shoot and needs her help. She hands Miku a wig and tells her to do the usual. Miku heads to the bathroom, and when she steps out, it surprises Fuutarou to see that she has disguised herself and turned herself into Ichika to take her place. Then in class, some chump proposes his feelings to Ichika, not knowing that it's Miku, and asks her to dance with him at the campfire. When Miku asks him why, he tells her that he likes her, which makes Miku wonder if Ichika has a lot of dudes gunning for her sweet cheeks. Miku tells him that she will think about it, but being impatient, the guy demands her to answer at that moment, but when he looks closer, he realizes that Ichika looks a bit different and asks her if she's not Ichika. Before she is forced to answer, Fuutarou saves her, saying how he has been looking for Ichika and that her sisters are looking for her. The simp confronts Fuutarou for cock-blocking him, asking him who he is to Ichika, and Miku quickly de-escalates the situation, declaring that she has promised to dance at the campfire with Fuutarou. It shocks the guy hearing this, stating that Fuutarou is too ugly for her, but Miku expresses how Fuutarou is actually cool and handsome. After hearing that, the guy accuses them of dating, and Miku says that they are and asks Fuutarou to go home so they can clap. When they walk out, the guy still refuses to believe that they are dating and demands them to hold hands, and while Fuutarou is hesitating to do it, Miku takes his hand, showing this simp that Fuutarou is packing the biggest golden pickle around. Upset, the simp walks away, but before he goes away, Miku asks him why he confessed to the person he likes. He tells her that it's because he wants the person he likes all to himself, and after hearing that, Miku finally understands why people date each other. Later, after Miku returns to her normal form, the other sisters find her and Fuutarou. They take Fuutarou shopping for the school camp, and while the others pick weird outfits, Nino manages to pick him the drippiest of fits. He asks them if it's okay for them to buy him clothes, and they tell them that they refuse to hang out with a guy dressed up like a hobo. Just then, Yotsuba expresses how they're like on a date, but Itsuki quickly dismisses that idea, saying how they're only helping this bum have more riz. When the girls leave, Yotsuba asks Fuutarou to look at the pamphlet she gave him, saying how they all should make great memories together. Just then, he sees a lot of missed calls from his father, telling him that Reiha is sick, and when he gets home, he pampers her fully from her illness. Reiha asks Fuutarou that while she's ill, she wants him to go on the camping trip and make great memories with the others. However, when the morning comes, Fuutarou doesn't show up to the school bus, and a teacher asks Itsuki to take over Futarou's role in planning the courage test. Back home, the father just got home, and to his surprise, Fuutarou is there taking care of Reiha. Fuutarou fully accepts that he won't be joining the camping trip, and while his father apologizes for not coming home sooner, he tells Fuutarou that he can still make the trip, saying how it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. Just then, Reiha wakes up, and to their surprise, she's healthy and is hungry. Suddenly, Suki pops up inside the house and drags Fuutarou outside. To his surprise, he sees the girls all waiting for him, asking him to join them on the trip, and he happily accepts their offer. However, due to the blizzard, they get stuck in traffic and are forced to stay together in a resort. When he unpacks his bag, Fuutarou finds a note and a lucky charm from Reiha, wishing him to get all the cheeks during that trip, and it gets Futarou's spirit lifted. While he's excited for the trip, the girls are wary of his existence, so they discuss the possibility that one of them might get their creamy domain expanded by Fuutarou. Later, while being alone, Ichika asks Miku if she's okay letting Fuutarou dance with her, and while Miku feels conflicted, she believes that it's okay if it's Ichika. At dinner, they are served a 5-star meal and Fuutarou expresses how she never ate anything like it. When they discuss their camping trip schedule, to the girls' surprise, Fuutarou tells them the rundown from the first day all the way until the campfire on the last night. Just then, Ichika suggests an open bath for the girls, but when they look closer, they see that it's a mixed bath and refuse to bathe with Fuutarou out of fear of seeing his dragon. Then without Fuutarou, the girls take a bath together where their juicy plots are out in the open and Nino brings up a concern. She tells the others that since they will all sleep together, one of them has to sleep next to Fuutarou and possibly face the wrath of his bearded dragon. The next morning, Ichika wakes up to find Fuutarou right next to her, which surprises her, and when she looks around, she realizes that everyone is sleeping all over the place. Seeing Futarou's sleep makes Ichika feel a certain way, and after everything he did for her, she wants to kiss him and goes for it. At that moment, Itsuki walks in and sees it, but she quickly closes the door, surprising Ichika, and Itsuki didn't see which sister it was. Just then, their teachers spot them, and they rejoin their school after knowing that during the blizzard, the school decided to stay in the same resort, which makes Fuutarou wonder how they didn't run into each other. Hours later, they arrive at the camp, and along with the others, the sisters waste no time helping out with the cooking. While watching the rice getting cooked, the simp Maeda asks Fuutarou how he can get a girlfriend, but before he answers, Yotsuba shows up with boxes, asking for his help. So he goes to help her, but tells Maeda that with the upcoming test of courage, he should invite a girl with him and potentially clap her in the bushes. Later that night, Maeda manages to bring a girl with him, and it annoys him that the girl is not getting scared and jumps into his willy out of fear. But in that moment, Fuutarou and Yotsuba scare them, causing them to run away. Feeling happy, Yotsuba expresses how she's glad that Fuutarou came to the trip and tells him that she wants him to have no regrets after leaving the school camp. Then the next group approaches and they scare them, but because it's Nino and Miku, they don't show an ounce of fear. While Nino is teasing Fuutarou for his blonde wig, Miku is silent, but Fuutarou gets her attention and warns her that they should follow the sign to avoid a dangerous cliff. When Miku leaves, she tells Ichika about how weird she feels about Fuutarou and asks her what she feels about him. Realizing how Miku feels, Ichika suggests that Miku take her place during the dance so she can have her happily ever after, saying how she shouldn't regret this moment in the future. Meanwhile, Itsuki is with Nino, and unlike the others, Itsuki is scared easily and gets scared of everything. Suddenly, Fuutarou pops up to scare them, and they run away out of fear, but Fuutarou realizes that they didn't follow the sign and are heading to a dangerous cliff. Because of what just happened, Itsuki leaves Nino all alone, and during her search for her, Nino's phone battery dies, causing her to lose her flashlight. In the dark, Nino gets scared, and when she runs away, she falls to the ground. Just then, Fuutarou shows up to save her, and because of his blonde wig, Nino doesn't recognize him and thinks that he's the guy from Futarou's notebook. Fuutarou tries to help her up, but she gets caught by a branch, causing her skirt to get ripped, but to his surprise, Nino doesn't smack him out of anger. Fuutarou realizes that Nino doesn't recognize him, but out of fear of that picture being shared, he decides not to tell Nino the truth. He orders Nino to follow the path of wanting to have his babies. She asks him to help find her sisters. Fuutarou lies and introduces himself as Kintaro and tries to portray himself as a bad boy, saying how he likes to cling to grandmas and drink vodka, but instead of feeling the ick, Nino likes him even more. He tries the other way around and portrays himself as someone smart, but Nino tells him that he also likes smart people, which he knows is a lie. She expresses how she doesn't like someone who's arrogant with her grades, and when Kintaro asks who it is, she tells him that it's his relative Fuutarou. Just then, she notices Kintaro's face has a scrape on it, and wanting to help him, she puts a band-aid on it, saying how she's used to tending her sister's injuries. Just then, they hear a terrifying noise in the woods, and Fuutarou yaps about his lucky charm, saying how all ghosts would bust their load and die because of it. However, they still get scared, and Fuutarou runs away quickly, leaving Nino behind, and she realizes just how unmanly she is. They get lost, but Nino thinks she sees the path and runs fast towards it, thinking it's the camp. But to her surprise, she faces a dangerous hill. In that moment, Sumeru is calling her name and in sauce, but Fuutarou grabs her and trades his life for hers. However, she grabs onto his lucky charm, and because of it, they are both saved from meeting a blue-haired maid. It ends with Fuutarou on top of her and Nino folding to his handsome Squidward looks. She tells him that she can't move due to fear and asks him to hold her hand, but instead of doing what she asks, he hands her his lucky charm, saying it will both protect her and grant her wishes. With her kitty dripping, Nino tells Quintaro about the campfire at the end of the trip and asks him to dance with her, saying how she will be waiting for him. Just then, they hear the scary noise again approaching them, but when it reveals itself, it turns out to be Itsuki, and when she spots Nino, she hugs her. It surprises Miku to see Nino fine by herself, but when Nino wants to show Quintaro to her, he is already gone and Nino smiles while holding the lucky charm, hoping he'll come back. Back at the camp, Nino walks around happy after what just happened, but when Fuutarou asks her about it, she refuses to tell him anything. He realizes that he can't dance with both her and Ichika, so he decides to tell Nino the truth, but when he looks for her, she's already gone. He runs into Ichika and Miku, but Ichika quickly runs away to leave Miku have her moment, but instead of raising her up, Fuutarou asks about Nino, which pisses off Miku. He wonders why the girls are hating him recently, and Itsuki snoops in to tell him that it's because he's a wimp. Then he helps out Yotsuba lifting logs for the campfire, saying how it's his way to return the favor for her help during the test of courage, but she tells him that he left her alone to scare everyone when he ran after Nino, which makes him realize how much he has made the girls hate him. When yet another log, Ichika is there to help him, saying how weak he is, but wanting to prevent her from helping him, Fuutarou helps her while acting like a goody two-shoes who sounds nothing like him. It creeps out Ichika to hear him speak like a total wimp, and she tells him to vent to her about what he's feeling. He tells her how he doesn't want people to hate him, so she decides to help him practice, starting by acting like Nino and Itsuki, but when he tries raising her up, it gives her the ick. She advises how he needs to just be his usual self, and Fuutarou is happy that he gets to speak to Ichika about this, deeming her the mature one. Then they return to one log left, but still conflicted on who to dance with. Fuutarou asks Ichika to call off their dance, saying how she needs to deal with her simps by herself. When he looks at Ichika's reaction, he sees her in tears, which shocks him. Just then, other people arrive to grab the last log and see that no one is there, but unbeknownst to them, Fuutarou is helping Nino hide her tears from them. Wanting to be kind, Fuutarou puts her jacket on Ichika, which makes her flustered, but when they're not looking, the door gets locked from the outside. They realize that they are trapped and start laughing, but quickly realize that they are screwed. Fuutarou suggests that they kick the door down. But when Ichika sees that it has a burglar detector, she tells him not to kick it down, saying that it will stop and ruin the camping trip. However, what she is really worried about is how Miku would react when she sees the two of them locked in a room. He then orders her to get on his shoulder so she can disarm the burglar detector, and she folds when she sees his manly shoulder. When she gets on him, Fuutarou can feel her plump thighs and a warm sensation coming from her juicy snoo-snoo, but she tells him to stop drooling. However, they find out that it needs a key to be disarmed, so Fuutarou decides to try and create fire, while Ichika is left frustrated with him not listening to her yap. Meanwhile, the girls just realize that Fuutarou and Ichika disappeared after they were getting logs together, but Miku feels conflicted after thinking about how Ichika might be getting Futarou's special cream stick, so she decides to look for them. Back with Fuutarou, he still continues to ignore Ichika's yapping while trying to make fire. Just then, she tells him how she's going to quit school, and when he hears that, she's happy that she finally gets his attention. Ichika tells Fuutarou that because of her movie role, she's gotten more job offers. And just like other actors, she decides to take a break from school, but because she's horrible at studying, she wants to flat out quit school. To her surprise, Fuutarou expresses how happy he is for her that she found something she's passionate about and how envious he is that she has options. Just then, he successfully creates fire, which surprises her, and they sit next to it to get themselves warm. Ichika agrees to cancel their dance around the campfire, but asks him for a dance right then and there, right in front of their own personal campfire. She feels her heart pounding harder, and when Fuutarou mentions the campfire legend, she tells him that she doesn't know what it is. When Fuutarou explains how the campfire dance will make them be together forever, Ichika realizes she screwed up. She recalls how she asked Miku to let her dance with Fuutarou, and just now sees how hurtful her request was. Suddenly, a log falls onto Ichika, but Fuutarou saves her, and when she looks at him, she now realizes how much she wants his babies. The log causes a huge noise and the burglar sensor to go off, and it orders them to get the key or that the alarm will call the police to their location. Suddenly, the sprinkler turns on, causing them to get wetter than your mom on a night with your mailman. They start panicking not having the key, but at that moment, Ichika and Miku pop up with the key, demanding them to explain what they were doing alone. It ends with them getting scolded by the teacher and both Miku and Itsuki refusing to believe in their stories. The next day, Ichika gets sick after catching a cold, and while Itsuki scolds her for trying to play Juice the Pickle with Fuutarou, she tells Itsuki that she has to face him. It makes Itsuki realize that the girl at the resort was Ichika, saying how she didn't expect her to fall for him. but Ichika tells her that not only is Fuutarou a gentleman, but he's also packing heat. Meanwhile, Fuutarou is in his room when Yotsuba barges in and drags him to go skiing with her. Because Fuutarou can't ski, Yotsuba is determined to teach him, even offering him to hold her hand. He asks her about the others, and Yotsuba informs him both Nino and Miku are already skiing while Itsuki is stuck taking care of Ichika, who's sick. Just then, Miku pulls up, and not recognizing who it is, Fuutarou gets close to her face, and when she gets flustered, she falls over. Fuutarou offers to help her up, but still conflicted with her feelings. Miku stands up by herself. Then, while Fuutarou is practicing, Ichika shows up, still a little sick, and when Fuutarou asks her about Itsuki, Ichika tells him that Itsuki is skiing on her own, wanting to avoid him. Wanting to have fun, Ichika declares they're playing tag and Yotsuba has to chase all of them. Yotsuba starts counting, and while the girls quickly ski away from her, Fuutarou tries to keep up. He asks Ichika if she told anyone about what happened the night before, recalling about how she wanted to quit school, and Ichika assures him that she hasn't. Suddenly, Fuutarou realizes that he doesn't know how to stop, and he free falls, leaving Ichika, and ends up ramming into a tree. It causes people to surround him, so he quickly gets up to avoid attention. Frustrated, he rubs his head, but because of it, his previous band-aid comes off, and from behind him, Nino picks it up. When she sees the band-aid, she recognizes it and thinks that Fuutarou is Quintaro, the man of her dreams. Realizing he's screwed, Fuutarou runs away, refusing to turn around to face Nino, but it ends with him running into Yotsuba, who sees him and wants to tag him. He gets stuck between the two girls chasing him, but when they both catch up, they are both confused to see him missing. Right beside them is a hidden igloo, and inside, Fuutarou is hiding there with Miku, who has been hiding from Yotsuba all this time. With his arm on her melons, Miku asks him not to move too much, but when he tries to get out, Miku stops him, asking him to stay with her. They talk about how Yotsuba has extreme stamina, and Miku has the idea of giving Yotsuba a handicap so their tagging game can be fair, but Fuutarou disagrees. He tells Miku that Yotsuba's athleticism is a product of her hard work, and that he doesn't want to disregard her effort. After hearing that, Miku feels a sense of relief, realizing that as sisters, they should be treated fairly, and that she shouldn't feel bad about wanting to win Fuutarou for herself. Her excitement causes her to stand up and get her head smacked on the roof. While she's in pain, she smiles, saying how all is fair in the name of love. Then Fuutarou leaves the igloo, and Miku calls Ichika, asking her to talk. Miku tells Ichika that since the legend states that she has to hold Futarou's hand, they both should hold his hand each, but she quickly pulls back her statement. Just then, Fuutarou joins their conversation, causing Miku to blush at how close he is, and Ichika tells them that because she's heading back, they should look for Itsuki as she's all alone. They go look for her, starting from the cafeteria, but in the middle of their search, Fuutarou starts getting weak, realizing that he got sick from Raiha and was the reason Ichika also got sick. Suddenly, Yotsuba jumps on Miku, saying how she got both of them, leaving only Itsuki. Fuutarou believes that Itsuki got lost, and when they look at the map, they suspect that she's at the place that their teachers have told them not to visit. Ichika calms them down, saying how they should look for Itsuki somewhere else before heading there, but out of frustration, Nino tells her that they have no time with Itsuki's life on the line. Just then, Fuutarou grows weaker, but in his moment of weakness, he realizes where Itsuki is located, so he orders the others to wait while he takes Ichika with him. They ride the gondola to look for Itsuki, but in the middle of it, Fuutarou tells Ichika that he sees her below, but Ichika looks closely to see that Fuutarou is looking at a random dude. Suddenly, Fuutarou takes off Ichika's hoodie and reveals that it's Itsuki all along acting as Ichika, saying how he found her. Hours ago, to convince Itsuki that Fuutarou is a good person, Ichika suggested that Itsuki experience him from Ichika's perspective and that he is not like their father. Itsuki starts crying, apologizing for the wild goose chase and that she has to make sure. Fuutarou calms her down and falls onto her shoulder, causing her to fold, but when she looks at him closer, she realizes that he's unconscious due to his illness. Later, the teacher takes Fuutarou to his room, banning the girls from entering while Fuutarou rests, but as they are walking away, Fuutarou asks Nino to talk first. He tells her that his relative Quintaro told Nino that he had to go before the campfire, but she takes it as a rejection. Then during the campfire, Miku confronts Ichika about her feelings for Fuutarou, but to Ichika's surprise, Miku expresses how, unlike before, she will no longer hold back and will get Fuutarou all for herself, defeating her fellow sisters. Without hesitation, Miku confesses how she likes Fuutarou, and after seeing how determined she is, they embrace each other. Meanwhile, Itsuki finds Yotsuba in their room, looking at Futarou's camping pamphlet, feeling guilty. She sees how many bookmarks Fuutarou has on it, saying how he was really excited for the trip, but when Itsuki takes a look inside, she finds something different. She shows Yotsuba how Fuutarou noted everything meaningful that happened during the trip. From their resort trip to Yotsuba teaching him how to ski, and Yotsuba tells Itsuki that she plans to sneak in and ask Fuutarou herself. Then the teacher who watches over Fuutarou gets called by a student, leaving Fuutarou by himself. But inspired by Yotsuba, Itsuki is already inside after sneaking in. She refuses to let Fuutarou be all alone during the campfire and goes to look for the light switch. When she finds it, she turns it on. But to her surprise, the 5 sisters are all there, all with the same idea. They all admit that they are there because they're worried for him, and Itsuki takes the first step to approach him. She tells him that she doesn't know much about him and wishes that when he wakes up, Fuutarou tells them more about him. Then the campfire is ending with couples holding hands, but inside the camp, Fuutarou is asleep with his hand being held by someone. Years from then, Reiva gets a text from Fuutarou telling her that he forgot his wedding ring at home, so she takes the ring and goes to the venue where Fuutarou is going to marry someone. She looks around the venue to see the multiple dresses that the bride will wear and the bride herself getting ready for her wedding. When she finds Fuutarou, she finds him asleep, but when she wants to scold him for forgetting the wedding ring, she sees him wearing the lucky charm she gave him years ago, and she congratulates him on the marriage. Then the wedding starts, and on his walk to the altar, Fuutarou meets the simp, Maeda, and his pregnant wife. He tells his wife that the reason he married her is because Fuutarou suggested he dance and hold hands with her at the campfire, deeming Fuutarou their Cupid. He then talks about how during the campfire, Fuutarou, while in bed, also held hands with his soon-to-be wife. Then the bride walks in, shining bright in her beauty, and as she holds Fuutarou's hand, Fuutarou remembers how, during the campfire, his hand was held by every single one of the sisters who all wanted to be with him and have their happy ever after. Just then, Fuutarou wakes up, and the girls celebrate seeing him healthy, but because of their being noisy, Fuutarou chases them off, and they run away from him while laughing, not knowing that one of them will be his wife and his happily ever after.
Take you